So I've done my right wing and I've done my, oh no, got you, left wing, right wing. Now right, welcome back to the CX Fling from aviationtoys.nl. So this is the wings to make. I'm going to try, as I did with the fuselage, is to try and just follow along, sort of reading the instructions, and we'll mooch along together. So interesting with this, this isn't built on plan. So the whole idea is you've got a number of these notched spars. So the only thing you're going to need is a flat bench. I'm using foam board again, but when it comes to the gluing, I might end up putting some tracing paper or some plastic down just to protect it. But so if you're looking in your box for some plans to lay the wing on top, there ain't any. So anyway, let's crack on. The first thing that we need to do is we need to get all of these. I've just dropped these two on the floor. We need to get all of these, and the instructions say that these, so there's three sections. You've got the leading edges, this bit here. There's a set of blocks here, and then you've got the trailing edge. So basically we're making a big fat sandwich wing, and that goes into the midsection of the wing. So again, PVA glue. I'm still sticking with my TB2, or you can use, I got this from Angel Wing Designs. There's Gorilla Glue, but I say nice PVA glue will work cracking on that. So I'm going to get that together, sandwich them, leave them, and then we'll start talking about the main job of actually building the wing. Right, stop. If you were just about to stick these tips together, stop. Let me explain something very important before it completely spoils your day. Now, I am right-handed and I'm going to be launching with my right hand, which means the launch peg is going to be on the left wing. Your left wing needs to look like this. So, cut out on the bottom, balsa in the middle, cut out on top. They get sandwiched together. The reason being is, at a later stage in the instructions, that's going to go into there like so, and then that is going to go into there like so, because they're going to end up connecting to the spar or to the wing. So this, for a right-handed launching pilot, is the setup. Left hand, you put it over there. So just remember, on the other wing tip, you've got plain balsa, the logo on top. So that's how you want to set yours up. Like that. Yeah, you can thank me later. Anyway, I'm going to glue, oh, by the way, don't glue that in yet. Just glue that and that. Right, so we have all our doublers and things that we glued earlier, and hopefully you understood my logic about telling you that this is one side. That's going to be the left side because I'm right-handed. This is the other side. So now I have cut two sets of ribs, and little thing to just give you some advice on, there are two spars. One sits like so, and then the other spar, the back spar, sits just slightly further back but drops in from the top. Now, identification, because you might be looking at it and going, eek, I can't tell the difference. Now, the clue is, if you look at the bottom front spar and then look at the notching No, that's not right, is it? Okay, hang on. Right, spar identification. So what you got to remember is the one with the thicker tip, that's at the back, and the one with the thinner tip here. And the clue is, if you look at rib 15, you've got a smaller slot in the front and a bigger slot at the back, and that ties in with these two. Let me just show you that. So that one's dropping down, that one's sitting up, and yeah, so the back one like that sits, and let me show you that the back one is like so, like that, and then the front one goes on there like that. So one other thing you need to do, that's not the right rib for there, by the way, it was just a demonstration. The other thing you need to do is there's a 1 and a 1A, and they should be glued together. There's number 1, so you've got a 1 and a 1A, and basically the idea is that these two just get glued together before we start. So that's basically that's a sandwich rib. So to crack those on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue these on. Now, as I said before, the wing is not built on instructions or a plan. It's just built on the bench. So I will be using, I'm using foam board, and I might be using a little bit of my blue tack, as you know I like to do. But I'm just going to get all the bits together, and then I'll just slowly talk you through the process. It's not as confusing as it looks, but there are a couple of things with spacing on ribs 1 to 3 we need to talk about, but it's better if I show you. Top tip, if this is one of your first style of building, this is rib 1 or rib 1A, and you notice this and all the other ribs have it. 1, you don't cut it off at the moment, but 2, no point in putting any glue on there, so I wouldn't glue that bit, because otherwise it's going to be a nightmare, because at some stage we're going to be cutting these off. So just save yourself a bit of time. When you're laminating 1 and 1A together, don't put the glue on these little nubbins. So I've done my right wing, and I've done my, oh no, got you. Left wing, right wing. Now, put that somewhere safe. We need to get out our trailing edges. So I'm just gonna flip the camera and then talk you through the next bit of the process. It's fairly easy, but let me just explain it. Okay, let's talk about adding this trailing edge. So the theory is that's the wing sat on all the pegs underneath. So that's the wing as it should be. So the idea is you turn your wing upside down, and I have just added 2 little pins just to hold this in place. It's very thin, so it's something to be careful. So the idea is that all we're then going to do is we're going to drop all of these, and when I've got all these in place, I am just going to add a ruler like so, and the ruler looks like that's going to be enough to hold it in place, but I might add a little bit of weight, and then I'm going to glue this, but I'm going to use PVA. I've got some tape on here, so I'm going to do both at the same time. I'll let you know how I get on. Right, there you go. That went very, very easily. Definitely would pin this down, the trailing edge down, but it all slotted in absolutely lovely. And I painted PVA on the sides of the ribs before I applied it. Just used a paintbrush. And then just applied it with a paintbrush either side, so I've got some nice neat control. Anyway, I'm just going to do the other one, and I'll get back to you with next step is joining the wing. Right, trailing, just a quick top tip which I've picked up as I'm obviously making this. I put the trailing edge on, obviously sat upside down. When I flipped it back over, I noticed there were just a couple of these legs were not quite touching down. So I tell you what I did do is I sort of, it's almost like I put it back in its original context, in other words the right way up. I just put the weights back on it, and I left the weights on there for about half an hour just to let everything sort of settle. So just a top tip, I mean that might not happen to you, but anyway, the thing we need to talk about now is wing joining, and we've got to get this sequence right. So quite rightly, basically what happens is that one goes in like that and one goes in like that, and what you can't do is put those two into the wing one side, because it ain't gonna work. So the suggestion is, so in other words, the upper wing joiner, so that one's gonna drop down, sorry, that one, there's that one, that's the upper joiner. So in other words, that's going to go from the top down. That's first, put that one in first, and then join that to the wing the other side, and then that one then goes in afterwards. So this one, the top one, so the slots face down, that's going to go into the front like so. And just don't get ramming it straight in. I would actually, see this very tiny little end bit here, what I would actually do is I would just feed that into every one, just to make sure that they're going to fit, because otherwise if you start trying to ram it, you might end up breaking the ribs. So just try and just test fit that all the way across. So the process is, so I'm whittling on about this, but this is quite important. Top one, which is the front one, like so, then you're going to pop that on the other wing on top like so, and then hold it, invert it, and then drop the second one in. Got me? Good. Let's see how I get on. Right, leading edge sheet. Basically it ends where 1 and 1A, so the join between 1 and 1A, it runs along the top of that front spar like so. Now when you get to here and you see these slots that go into I think it's 15, 14 and 13, don't panic, because there's something separate. The launch peg strength has got to go there, so that's how we got to look. So what we're going to do is we're going to glue the sheet down, and it then says when you've glued the sheet down, make sure that all the pins, so all the pegs, sorry, so they're all these pegs that fit on the bottom, these, what you want to do is you basically weight the whole thing down again, and that'll stop it getting twisted. So I'm going to smash one of those out, so I'm going to do that, and when that one's done, so you're going to let that one dry, and then we're going to do the other side. Right, both top sheeting is done. The annoying thing is obviously using PVA, which I think is the better glue to use. Obviously I've just did one, then I'll have to leave it for the evening. So the next thing we're going to do now is you need to look out all those bits that we glued together earlier, these bits, because what we're going to do, you're going to cut all the tags off of here, and I'm going to use without a handle, I'm just going to use that because it means I can get it fairly square. So we're cutting all the tags off, front and back. Just be very careful. I would literally lay it on the bench and support it, and then I'm just going to slowly slice them off, just give them a little liquid sand paper, and then when I've done that, we're going to sand these and then fit them to place. So I'm just going to whip the tags off, and then I'll get back to you. So I've just got a flat knife, got half the wing hanging over the bench, and I'm just supporting this as much as possible, and then right, quick update and some important tips. I have just obviously done the infills. Now on the back one, the trailing edge one, I literally took that off, and I think there is some note that you only need, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 there, and even the fifth one needed a bit of sanding. And I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the front. Now, also, little tip with the middle one is obviously just sand it just to get it to drop in. And remember, it's a rectangle, not square. So I've got mine all in. There it is. I've got it all clamped. Again, I've used wood glue. Just make sure that the bits that you've put in here and underneath are not standing proud, because there's actually some sheeting that's going to go on there, and that's going to make life real difficult if any of this is standing proud. So we've knocked off all those pegs. Well, we've cut them off, sanded any high spots. So you're going to need these and these to do the top center panel. And one thing I would say is just be very careful handling this. It's very, very thin. In fact, I've managed to break one of mine because I wasn't paying attention, so I've glued mine back together. So just a little caution here, this is very thin balsa. So I'm again going to use PVA. There's a little bit of sanding, a little bit of just a jiggery pokery to get them on place. Just make sure also that those infills are not standing proud. Massive update. Basically it was just adding the extra things. So the last time, you remember, we did the sheeting in the middle. Then I added the bottom sheet. Remember, we cut off the lugs. Since then I put the bottom sheet on, and I put the bottom covering on as well. Now the next project is adding the leading edges, and it's scaring me slightly because I don't want to damage the model. So the idea is, what we got to do, we've got to reduce this leading edge down to where the ribs start. Now, half of me's thinking gently with a plane, and then when I get close I use my trusty Permagrit. Thanks, Stanley. So I'm going to have a go at that plan first. So I'm going to get this down on the bench, really support it, and because my worry is if I go too close with the blade, I'll start whipping ribs out. So that's going to be my plan of action, is I'm just going to have a go at getting one of these down to shape. Little tip I would suggest, there's a fair bit of wastage at the tip. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mark a pencil line just on the top there, which shows me where that rib's going to finish. That's going to give me a guide, but you've got more to take away at the tip here. And remembering, we're looking for a nice curve. Right, here we go. I'm just going to start at the So you can see I've got fairly close to the end there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm now just going to do the rest with my sanding block. Actually, one side done. It's gone very well. You can just see the ends, and I did notice that when I got down to the sanding, you just notice, if as long as you're sanding gently, you can just feel that you're coming up against the ribs. One top tip. Make sure you got all the debris out of that, because otherwise when you start discus launching, I can guarantee you that'll be rattling around, drive you around a bend. This week I shall mainly be playing the leading edge. Right, leading edges on. I basically applied glue to the leading edge, not the actual so this is actually the wing, not the leading edge. The leading edge from about here I just soaked it in that, which is window cleaner, which I believe has got ammonia in it, so that's why I used it. And I left that for about 10 minutes, let it soak in, and then I'll be honest with you, I did the reverse. So remember that we're not going to be gluing into the middle portion there, so I taped mine, slowly got it in position, slowly got it in, and then I just slowly bent mine over the end. I mean, the instructions say start on that, work back, but it worked for me, whatever floats your boat. So I'm now just going to leave this. I'm guessing this is going to take a while to go off, but I have also again used wood glue from Angel Wing Design. So I'm just going to leave this, and then the final thing we've then got to talk about, literally the last bit for this part of the video, is this and these. Right, leading edge has been put on. That went all right. That the technique with the spraying it, that worked well. I've just done the thing they show you in the middle. So basically, all your offcuts go into the square section in the front. So I've done that. The very last thing we need to do is now. Obviously, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be launching mine from the left wing. So what we're going to need is, as I showed you earlier, this. Remember, in Blue Peter fashion, we made this earlier, and the idea is that's going on there, that's going on there, and this will fit together. So oh, come on, Nick. So that's on there like so, and then you'll notice that there is the steppage for that. So the idea, one of those fits in the top and in the bottom like that. So I'm just going to whack that all on. The other side doesn't have one, so the other side is just a standard. I am going to use wood glue now. Finally done. So that's what it looks like. There isn't the, obviously there's no the strength. Oh, just had to check. I still keep thinking yeah, because yeah, it's definitely right-handed. So that's, so I'm right-handed launcher, pegs go the left-hand wing. That's all clamped up. I did actually, as per the instructions, laid the wing flat down, bossed the tip on with the two things, and they're now sitting there very nicely, clamping. The other side's pinned. Now folks, there is a shed load of sanding to do, and it needs to be done very, very carefully. Now, I am now going to go off to Australia for a month because my son and his girlfriend are getting married. And we are going to New Zealand. We're going to get in a couple of helicopters, fly to the top of a mountain, come back down, job done. So I'm off to Australia. So this is the last bit of this wing build. It's going to take a lot of time to do some sanding and being very gentle with it. So I'm now going to leave this for a few weeks. The reason being is I'm now off to Australia because my son and his girlfriend Christina are getting married. But I hope to meet a few friends from Facebook via YouTube that have been subscribers and followers, which will be exciting. I've got some models out there. I've got a Micro Dammit, we got a Pug, got an SOAS, and I think there's a Smash for me to finish. But so please like and subscribe, and I promise you I'm going to show you some adventures in Australia. It might not all be flying, it might be me in the bush wrestling with snakes or whatever stuff they got out there, which basically 90% of it wants to kill you. Listen guys, thanks very much for subscribing, watching it, and I'll catch you very shortly.